Alright, while this butter melts to do the second batch, we poured the other out. And with a cast iron skillet, you can just take a nice paper towel and wipe it all around. And we just put it in the can with the other meat juice, which is not really appetizing when you want it in your soup. Because to put this much meat and to cook it, that would be a lot of liquid. And now it's going to be a nice clear soup. So, we're going to do these and be back with you in a minute and we'll show you how we put it together. Now we got to saute some of the vegetables first. This butter you'll eat. Alright, we have a pop quiz, folks. What will saute quicker? Celery or onions? Right and wrong. Celery takes longer to cook. We got that on high. We roll that butter around everywhere. Voila! That is about 6 stalks of celery. I like to do everything with this. On some of our pans, they don't like you to mar them up with any metal. This will work. Now we'll be back in a little bit because this celery is going to take a while to tenderize and cook down, saute. Back in a bit. Cut this overhead bin off so you can hear. The potatoes is about 5 of them that size. You can see it, they're not huge. 3 onions, these are sweet onions that size. The carrots is a pound bag plus a few extra. We had some left over in the bag. And these have been sauteing along a little while and they're getting softer. Now it's going to take some time for these to cook, so you want to put them in before this is finished sauteing. So there goes onions. And being sweet onions, they're not as strong as regular yellow onions. And the only thing you have to do when you're doing this is make sure all of it gets a little bit of your butter on it and gets mixed up. Now mixing it up with all the celery's already gotten hot. If you were to like split them, all this would take forever to heat up while this sat over here hot. Everybody would mix it up. It wouldn't make sense to do anything else. But by doing this, all the heat that's already in the celery will transfer to the onions. Now all you're going to need is some water to stop it cooking when it gets to where you want it to be. We've been doing this between about 7.5 and 8. Now this is an old range, and sometimes you can cut it back and it seems to go to off. But it's really sort of a high. You just want to make this stuff translucent. The onions will be really translucent. You'll see them change color. Some of them already have. It won't take long. And then the celery will never be translucent, but you can look at it and tell it's just not as green as it was. And it's only going to take another minute or so. They've probably been cooking for 5 or 6 minutes right now. The celery is. Be back in a minute. Got the fan off so you can hear. You can do it on a higher flame. We're above 8 right now. As long as you keep stirring it, you can use a higher flame. You wouldn't want it to sit by itself. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of restaurants will have a pan of onions on the back sauteing on a real low flame, because when you walk in the restaurant and you get a swift little sniff of that onions, it'll set your appetite off and you'll order more food than you would have. So what happens, go behind them doors that swing both ways. Now, you can see the fire is not totally red. And see, that's all the onions are translucent. They're just opaque. And the celery's not going to matter if it's not cooked all the way, because you want it to have a little flavor. Now this is, that just stops the cooking process. And that was about 48 ounces to start with, and I got 12, so that's about 24 ounces. If you're not going to use a lot of other liquid ingredients, you can put this in there now, but you're going to have to put something else in here to cook, so you have to have enough liquid to do that. So I'm probably right at what I have. I have a habit of making more soup than my pan will hold. That's about 36 ounces of liquid. Alright, the next step. We got carrots and potatoes. Which thing is going to take longer to cook? What you are looking for is when you put this in a bowl, and the reason my wife is helping me is this is her supper. When you put this in a bowl, you want the meat, the potatoes, the green beans, the corn, the peas, the carrots, everything to be at their peak. It doesn't matter when you heat it up the next day, but when you first eat it, you want it the best you can eat. And since carrots, even diced up, take longer to cook than potatoes, you put that in next. And you got to have enough water to cover that and the potatoes. And it's on high because the carrots are a little cooler and that'll knock the temperature down. And this is when I start putting salt and pepper in it. And this looks like a lot, but this is enough to serve like 20 people. We need to find out how much this pan holds. This is one of our favorite old pans. It was given to us as a wedding present 43.5 years ago. And you can't really put too much pepper in it. And when these get cooked, maybe 10 minutes, we'll put the potatoes in. And then when both of those are cooked and the other vegetables are done, when they're all cooked the same at the end, it's time to eat it. Just cut the pan off. What you want to do is like pick one of the biggest carrots and put it in your mouth. If it's really chewy, but you could eat it if you had to, that's when you want to put the potatoes in. Now I've drained these in the colander. And the potatoes in. Now that you've got this temperature established and it's still on high, it's quite obvious that all of this soup is not going to cook in this pan without some more water. Now you want to put as hot a water as your spigot has in it. This water, our water's hot, it'll burn you. It is a trade-off. And it won't take it long to get back to that boil. And you take 2 bouillon cubes. You can break them up if you want. Or put them in there. They will break down. We don't use as much salt as some people do because there is some salt, I think, in these bouillon cubes. You see the extra fat that was in this meat after we took it out the pan by putting it in this strainer? Meat's in it. Stir it up, try to get it all under. I love using something like this. It's better than a spoon to me. I don't have a liquid problem yet because that's our canned tomatoes. We make soup. It's got spices in it and all, but it's basically onions, celery, salt and pepper. And now it's time to boil it. Now the next things we're going to put in there is lima beans, green peas, and corn. Lima beans take 16 minutes to cook. You need to figure that out, so that has to be next. Fresh. Now these have been blanched before we froze them, but a normal green bean is cooked in 7 minutes. I mean, when you buy a frozen package of them, they've been blanched, but in 7 minutes they're ready to eat. I've seen people that cook these all day, or hours, but in 7 minutes they're perfect to eat. Green peas take about 4 minutes tops. And we're going to put this white corn in it. All it has to do is really heat up. And we're going to put this stewed tomatoes in it, and all it's got to do is heat up. Back with you in a bit.